Hey listeners, are you ready for a magical bedtime story? I hope you have your favorite stuffed animal and your coziest blanket because we're diving into a magical adventure.
Tonight's story is all about a secret garden.
Ooh, a secret garden.
Two curious brothers and wishes that can actually come true.
Wishes that come true. This sounds pretty amazing already. So where does our story begin?
Well, our story starts in Blackheath, England.
Blackheath?
Picture it, rolling green fields and a bright blue sky.
I can picture that.
Two twin brothers, Isaac and Jacob, are having a picnic lunch near their home
Okay.
when they spot something strange behind a big old wall covered in ivy.
A mysterious wall that definitely sounds like the start of an adventure. I bet those brothers were pretty curious, weren't they?
They were. They noticed a glimmering light peeking out from behind the ivy. And like any good explorer, they just had to see what it was.
Yeah.
So they bravely pushed through a gap in the wall, and guess what they found?
I'm gonna guess. A hidden door.
Close. They found a rusty old gate with a sign above it that read, "The Garden of Wishes." Can you imagine finding a secret garden with a name like that?
Oh, that's so cool. A garden just for wishes. What kind of wishes do you think they made?
Well, that's where things get interesting. See, when they snipped through that creaky old gate,
I can hear that creaking sound.
they found themselves in a garden unlike any other.
Oh, wow.
It was filled with glowing flowers in every color you can imagine.
Glowing flowers. That sounds amazing. Were they like fireflies or maybe little twinkling stars?
They were even more magical than that. Each flower seemed to hum softly like it was holding a secret.
Wow.
And right in the middle of the garden, there was another sign
Another sign.
that said, "Choose wisely, for each flower holds a wish."
Wait, so every single flower had a wish inside it? That's incredible. What would you wish for if you were in that garden?
That's a great question. But before we get carried away making wishes, remember what the sign said? We have to choose wisely. Sometimes wishes can be tricky, you know?
Ooh, that's true.
Yeah.
What if you wished for a mountain of cookies,
Oh,
but then ate so many you got a tummy ache?
exactly. That's why it's important to think carefully about what you really want and what might happen if your wish came true. Now back to our story. Isaac and Jacob wandered through this magical garden, their eyes wide with wonder.
Okay.
Finally, they found two flowers that seemed to glow a little brighter than all the others.
Ooh, special flowers for special wishes. I bet they were excited. What did they pick?
Isaac, who loved to read and learn, chose a shimmering blue flower. Jacob, who was a dreamer and always looking for adventure, picked a flower that glowed golden yellow.
Okay, so a blue flower for knowledge
Yeah,
and a golden flower for adventure.
exactly.
Wonder what happened when they made their wishes.
They each closed their eyes, made a silent wish, and gently blew on their flower's petals.
Okay.
As they did, a gentle wind rustled through the garden, and they heard a wise, soothing voice. "Welcome, Isaac and Jacob," the voice said. "Your wishes have been heard. Now the Garden of Wishes will guide you."
Wow. It sounds like their adventure was just beginning. Where did their wishes take them?
Well, before they could even say a word, the garden started to change right before their eyes. Isaac, the bookworm, suddenly found himself in a world filled with towering bookshelves, stacks of scrolls, and maps that stretched across the floor.
Wow.
It was every book lover's dream come true.
A whole world made of books. I bet he was thrilled. What about Jacob? Where did he end up?
Jacob's wish transported him to a different part of the garden. He was standing at the edge of a wide-open field, and the sky above was a brilliant gold, just like his flower.
Wow.
Birds soared through the air, and a shimmering rainbow stretched across the horizon.
Wow. That sounds amazing. So Isaac got his wish for knowledge, and Jacob got his wish for adventure. I wonder what they learned during their time in the magical garden.
That's what we'll explore next.
This is so exciting. I can't wait to find out what happens to Isaac and Jacob.
So Isaac, surrounded by all those books, was in his element. He started exploring this incredible library,
I bet he was so excited.
reading about faraway lands, ancient cities, and creatures he'd never even imagined.
It's like he stepped right into one of his favorite stories.
Yeah.
I bet he felt like a real explorer discovering something new with every page he turned.
He did. And with every book he read, he gained more knowledge and understanding, feeling a little braver and more confident with each step he took. But as he journeyed through this world of words, he began to realize something.
That's sad. Don't keep me in suspense.
Well, he started to think, all this knowledge is amazing, but wouldn't it be even more amazing if I could share it with someone? Imagine having all those incredible stories and facts locked up inside you with no one to tell.
That would be so frustrating. It's like when you learn a really cool magic trick, you just want to show it off to all your friends, right?
Exactly. And knowledge is a gift that's meant to be shared. It's like a light that shines brighter when it illuminates more than just one person. Meanwhile, Jacob was having a completely different experience in his magical world.
Right. He wished for adventure, and he ended up in that beautiful field with the golden sky and the rainbow. What was he up to?
He was living his best life. Jacob was running through the fields, laughing as butterflies and birds flew alongside him. He even stumbled upon a crystal-clear lake where he could see his reflection shimmering in the water.
Oh, I bet that lake was breathtaking. Can you imagine seeing a rainbow reflected in the water like that?
It was a sight to behold. But as Jacob stood there, taking in all the beauty around him, he had a realization too. He thought, all this is amazing, but it would be even more amazing if I had someone to share it with. Imagine seeing the most beautiful sunset in the world, but you have no one to turn to and say, wow, look at that.
Oh, that would be sad. It's always more fun to share those special moments with people you care about, right?
Absolutely. Happiness is like a song that becomes even more beautiful when sung in harmony. So both brothers, even though they were in completely different worlds, learned a very similar lesson.
I see. They both learned that even when you get what you wish for, it's not as fulfilling if you experience it alone.
Exactly. True happiness and fulfillment come from sharing our experiences and knowledge with others. It's the connections we make that make life truly meaningful.
That's such a heartwarming thought. So did Isaac and Jacob ever find their way back to each other? Did they get to share all the amazing things they learned and saw?
They did, and that's where their adventure takes an even more interesting turn.
Ooh, I can't wait to hear what happens next. Okay, so Isaac and Jacob both realized that sharing makes everything better. But how did they get back together? Did they just magically reappear in the same place?
It wasn't quite that simple. They each had to find their way back to the center of the garden where they first made their wishes. And when they arrived, they discovered something truly amazing.
What was it? Was it another glowing flower? Or maybe a talking animal?
It was a small, clear pond. But this wasn't just any ordinary pond.
Okay.
When they looked into its reflection, they could see all the memories they'd made and the lessons they'd learned during their time in the garden.
Wow, a memory pond. That's so cool. It's like looking back through a photo album, but even better because you can see how much you've grown and changed.
Exactly. It was like the garden was showing them how much wiser they had become. And as they looked into the pond, they realized they weren't alone anymore. They could see each other's reflections too.
So they were reunited at last. What did they say to each other? I bet they had so much to share.
They did. Isaac, with his head full of stories and knowledge, looked at Jacob and said, I thought my wish was all about exploring new worlds, but now I know that knowledge is even more valuable when it's shared.
He was so right. It's like having a treasure chest full of jewels but keeping them all to yourself. What's the point of having all that sparkle if you can't share it with anyone?
Exactly. And Jacob, beaming with the joy of his adventures, nodded and said, and I thought my wish was to see all the colors of the world. But now I understand that those moments are even better with someone by your side. That's so sweet. It's like watching a fireworks show. Sure, it's pretty on your own, but it's 1,000 times more magical when you're watching it with someone you love.
You got it. And as they stood there side by side, the wise voice they'd heard before returned one last time. You both have understood the true gift of wishes, it said. Now keep these lessons close to your heart and let them guide you on future adventures.
Wow, it's like they graduated from the Garden of Wishes. They learned that wishes are powerful, but sharing and connecting with others is even more magical.
That's the secret of the garden. And as the magical landscape began to fade around them, Isaac and Jacob found themselves back at the Iron Gate, the entrance to that extraordinary place.
It's like waking up from a wonderful dream. Did they bring anything back with them from the garden? Isaac held onto a beautiful compass he found during his adventures in the world of books. It was a reminder of his journey and the importance of always seeking knowledge. And Jacob carried a bright feather from one of the colorful birds he'd met in his magical world. It reminded him of the joy of adventure and the importance of sharing those experiences with others.
What special souvenirs. I bet they treasured those items forever. But the most important thing they brought back was the lesson they learned, right?
Absolutely. They learned that true happiness isn't about getting everything you want, but about sharing what you have with others. And as they walked back home, feeling wiser and closer than ever before, they knew that they had discovered something even more magical than wishes: the power of love, connection, and shared experience. experiences.
That's such a beautiful ending, and it reminds us that even though we might not have a secret garden in our backyard, we can still create magic by sharing our knowledge, adventures, and joy with the people we love.
Exactly. The true magic is all around us, waiting to be discovered in the connections we make and the moments we share.
So the next time you're feeling lonely or like you want something you don't have, remember the story of Isaac and Jacob and the secret garden of wishes. Maybe instead of wishing for something new, you could share something you already have. A story, a smile, a helping hand.
That's a wonderful thought. Remember, the most magical adventures are always better when shared.
And on that note, sweet dreams, everyone. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into a world of wonder and imagination.